starting off this countdown, we have the robot takeover. At this point, artificial intelligence is playing a huge role in our lives. We got smart watches, speakers, homes, and fridges. It's crazy. That's not all. Scientists have created a number of super smart robots, like the robot police dog. Currently, some police departments have been testing out using a robotic dog. The New York Police Department was seen using one just last month, and it was received with a lot of backlash. Not only that, but another company made a child robot that is learning itself by interacting with humans and observing their behaviors. It then records this and then copies it back. And on top of that, hospitals are testing the use of surgery robots to help out. Here's the thing. The Simpsons, in a number of episodes, have predicted a robot takeover. One of them being the episode titled Itchy and Scratchy Land, which was episode 4 in season 6. In this episode, large animatronic robots go haywire and cause mass destruction. They basically turn into killing machines, threatening the Simpsons' lives. Then there's the episode titled Them Robots, which is the 17th episode of season 23. In this episode, Mr. Burns replaces all of the power plant workers with robots. But this goes terribly wrong, and the robots start to turn on the community. So the Simpsons predicted that robots will take all of our jobs, but also that they will turn against us and try to wipe out the human race. Seriously, I could see this ending super badly for all of us. These robots are becoming smarter than us all.
Number 4 on this list is rigged voting. This one is sadly way too close to real life, guys. In 2008, The Simpsons released an episode where it had Homer voting for the next American president. His two options were Barack Obama and John McClane, who were the two actual options in real life going for presidency at the time. In the clip, Homer very clearly clicks to vote for Obama, but the machine that he's using turns his vote into a vote for John. A funny gag at the time that pokes fun at the legitimacy of elections and voting, but not so funny when it actually happened in real life 4 years later. Fast forward to the next election. Now it's between Obama and Mitt Romney for the American presidency. This time the voting machine gag actually happens though. A voting machine in Pennsylvania had to be removed because it kept changing any votes for Obama to Romney. There was a full-on video that surfaced on the internet of somebody trying to vote for Obama, but just actually couldn't because of the machine. This was easily fixed and didn't cause too much tampering in the actual election, but then, fast forward again 4 more years. Remember the scandal about the potential Russian involvement in the election? About how they rigged the vote and gave Donald Trump an unfair advantage? Now that's never actually been 100% confirmed, but if it did actually happen, then one could argue that The Simpsons inadvertently predicted that too. It's not quite the same as a busted voting machine, but if it did actually happen, then it definitely would have been tampering with the election, which was the whole thing The Simpsons were making fun of in the first place. Hopefully from here on out we can just have some solid, non-messy elections and keep this Simpsons thing as it was intended to be, just a funny joke. Number 3 on this list is the secret ingredient. Now when I say the secret ingredient, I'm not talking about SpongeBob and a Krabby Patty or something zany like that. I'm talking about horse meat. Yeah, that's right guys. In the season 5 episode 19 Simpsons called Sweet Seymour Skinner's Bad Song, we see the lunch lady, Doris, making some lunch for all the students of Springfield Elementary. As she cooks up her disgusting concoction, she reaches into a large vat that has the words assorted horse parts, now with more balls written on it, assumingly using this as her secret ingredient in whatever disgusting food she's cooking up for the kids. Well, this sick joke didn't just stay as a cartoon and sadly came to real life in 2013. The BBC writes, 4 beef products sold by Birdseye, Taco Bell, and catering supplier Breaks have been found to contain horse DNA, the Food Standards Agency says. This is the 3rd wave of test results received by the FSA, which has now received a total of 5,430 test results. Meanwhile, new tests conducted on beef retail products revealed no new cases of horse meat adulteration, the British Retail Consortium has said. This latest round of tests saw 1,797 products being examined. Taco Bell, guys. This is a big fast food company that got caught with its hands in the horse meat jar. Now granted, it's not necessarily their fault. They buy their meat from a big meat supplier, and what's in it would have come from that supplier of meat. But this is just so scary because it makes you wonder, what's in that burger that I just got from McDonald's? Sure, they tell me that it's 100% Canadian beef, but how do they know? Taco Bell had no idea what they were selling and then marketed it as something that it wasn't, so why can't these other places do it too? Honestly, really sad and scary that The Simpsons got this one right. Hopefully that was the one and only time something like this ever happens. Number 2 on this list is an Ebola outbreak. Ebola is a very serious disease and something that shouldn't be taken lightly. This is pretty much common knowledge now, but back when The Simpsons talked about it, it wasn't nearly as well known. The 3rd episode of the 9th season, called Lisa Sacks, was released in 1997 and has The Simpsons predicting an Ebola outbreak. In that episode, Marge tells Bart, who isn't feeling well, that he should read a book called Curious George and the Ebola virus. This has led people to believe The Simpsons actually predicted the outbreak. Now, just having a book called that isn't necessarily a prediction, but I do want to stress that it really wasn't talked about that much back then. Back in the 90s, it wasn't big news and not a ton of people knew about it. That's why when from 2013 to 2016 there was a major Ebola outbreak in Africa, people looked to The Simpsons as knowing something that we didn't. This wasn't just a small thing either, it was a full-on epidemic for several years that ravaged Western Africa, causing major loss of life and some serious socio-economic disruptions. Let's hope that they don't make any other epidemic predictions soon, because I think I speak for everyone when I say that we're pretty much done with that. Number 1 on this list is the Siegfried and Roy tiger attack. According to Google, Siegfried and Roy were a duo of German-American magicians and entertainers best known for their appearances with white lions and white tigers. It was composed of Siegfried Fischbacher and Roy Horn. This was one of the most successful acts in the world for quite a while and garnered a massive audience worldwide. Sadly, there was a horrible tragedy that happened in 2003 during a show. Wikipedia writes, during a show at the Mirage on Horn's birthday on October 3rd, 2003, a 7-year-old white tiger named Manticore attacked Horn. As part of the act, but veering off script, Horn held his microphone to Manticore's mouth and told him to say hello to the audience. Manticore responded by biting Horn's sleeve. Horn swatted the tiger and barked "release," while standby trainers unsuccessfully attempted to distract the cat with cubes of meat. Possibly incited by Horn's retreat, the tiger leapt at Horn, swinging at his legs and knocking him off of his feet. As trainers rushed in from offstage to assist, Manticore bit into Horn's neck and dragged him off stage. Trainers got the tiger to release Horn by spraying him with CO2 fire extinguisher canisters, the last resort available. The attack severed Horn's spine, resulting in massive blood loss and severely injured other parts of his body, permanently impairing his motor and verbal abilities. He also had a stroke either before or after Manticore dragged him off stage. This incident, as scary as it was actually predicted by The Simpsons though in season 5, episode 10. In that Simpsons episode, both of the entertainers are viciously attacked by their tiger during one of their acts. This episode aired in 1993, which was 10 years prior to the tragic incident that happened in real life. I guess it wasn't that far off of a stretch to imagine a show with a bunch of large jungle cats potentially going wrong, but it still is really sad that they got this one right.
Kicking off at number 5, rigged voting machines.
1 vote for McCain. Thank you.
No, I want to vote for Obama.
2 votes for McCain.
The Simpsons are no strangers to politically fueled gags, but the literal definition of stranger than fiction occurred back in 2008 during the 19th Treehouse of Horror episode that aired during the 2008 presidential candidacy race between Barack Obama and John McCain. It's a small segment, but the clip features Homer heading into a voting booth and is surprised to find a brand new touchscreen machine. But after he casts his vote for Democratic candidate Barack Obama, the machine sinisterly replies, 1 vote for McCain. Thank you. Well, when Homer replies he wants to vote for Obama, he repeatedly presses the touchscreen in frustration. When the machine responds, 2 votes for McCain, 3 votes for McCain, then finally 6 votes for President McCain. I mean, that's terrifying enough in a totalitarian political climate, but what's terrifying is that it actually happened. During the 2012 election where Obama ran for his 2nd term in office, a man filmed himself using the same kind of touchscreen trying to vote for Barack Obama, but repeatedly found the vote being cast for Republican candidate Mitt Romney. And The Simpsons predicted the same calamity 4 years before it even happened.
Coming in at number 4, we have the zombie outbreak. The Simpsons have featured a zombie outbreak in a number of their Treehouse of Horror episodes. In one episode titled "Don't Have a Cow, Mankind," the citizens of Springfield get infected from eating burgers. Hold on though, guess what the burgers are infected with? A virus. And then this turns them into these zombie-like creatures. Great. So could it be that this virus will mutate and start to turn everyone into a zombie-like state? Or maybe another virus will veer its ugly little head and threaten the human race. Could 2022 be the year that this happens? Let's hope not. I don't even know what to think anymore. Let's just hope that this doesn't come true. Moving on to number 3, we have the president's wife. This next prediction is going to send chills down your spine. So in season 14, episode 21 of The Simpsons, titled "Bart of War," an interesting headline can be seen across the newspaper in one of the scenes. The newspaper headline reads, "President shoots his wife." What now? Now this episode came out in 2003. The president at the time was George W. Bush, and clearly he did not shoot his wife. So the headline hasn't come true. Yet. Maybe it wasn't Bush that they were referring to. Could 2022 be the year that this comes true? Should Jill Biden be concerned? Should we be concerned? Even if that headline was just meant as a joke, it's a pretty dark one. Let's just hope that Joe doesn't go crazy and shoot his wife. You know what? Let's just hope that no president ever does that. In our second spot, we have World War III. Another world war would be absolutely disastrous for a number of reasons, I'm sure you can imagine. But could 2022 be the year that another world war might break out? It might just be, according to The Simpsons. In the 1995 episode titled "Lisa's Wedding," we dive 15 years into the future. From there, we see what it's like in the future. Now, in this episode, we see Homer and Lisa's fiance, Hugh, drinking at Moe's bar. In this scene, Moe realizes that Hugh is from England and mocks him by saying, and I quote, "We saved you in World War II." Now, it's what Hugh responds with that has sparked the interest of many individuals. He replies saying, "Yeah, well, we saved you in World War III." Great. So it may just be that another war is about to begin. Now, what makes this all worse is that this particular Simpsons episode was filled with predictions that have actually come true, like virtual reality games, FaceTime, and Apple Watches. This episode predicted all that and more years before those things actually came out. So let's hope that this other prediction they made doesn't come true as well. Like, should we start building our doomsday bunkers or what? And in our number 1 spot, we have the disastrous Asteroid. Just when you thought the predictions for 2022 couldn't get any worse, we have this one. A giant asteroid might come crashing down to Earth and kill us all. In the 14th episode of season 6 titled "Bart's Comet," Bart discovers a comet that is headed straight towards Earth. They believe that the comet is going to destroy life as they know it. And guess what? NASA has reported that asteroids are coming closer and closer to Earth. Just this year, NASA was, and probably still is, tracking a giant asteroid traveling at around 28,000 miles per hour that's headed towards Earth's orbit. This asteroid is around 1,500 feet wide. Its impact could be very disastrous. Plus, we keep having these near misses and close calls. Let's hope that this prediction does not come true. Now, here's some good news, okay? The Simpsons episode ends with the comet being burnt up into little pieces, causing no harm to the Earth. Amen. So maybe we're safe. For now.
Number 5 on this list is stolen cooking grease. So this one's honestly just pretty weird, guys. Cooking grease, something that to 99.9% of all individuals is just gross and should be thrown out pretty much immediately, was actually part of a bit of a thieving scandal. In the 1998 season 10 episode 1, Lord of the Dance Simpsons episode, Homer decides that a great way to make a quick buck is to steal a bunch of cooking grease and then sell it. This is a cartoon and Homer is like really freaking dumb, so we can suspend our disbelief and buy into this for 22 minutes, but never would I have actually thought this get translated to real life. In the city of New York, there's been an overwhelming rise of grease theft. The New York Post writes, "The theft of used cooking grease from city restaurants has risen in recent years thanks to the demand for yellow grease, a valuable ingredient in biodiesel," say eatery owners and licensed oil collectors. The thieves troll the streets in unmarked unmarked vans and swiped the oil going for $1 a gallon on the streets from unsuspecting restaurant workers. The oil can be converted into yellow grease, a commodity used to make biodiesel. The city's Business Integrity Commission records show that about 30 licensed grease haulers who pay restaurants to collect the grease to refineries. Haulers pay around $2 a gallon to lug the lard from the kitchens to turn it into diesel fuel, animal feed, or even jet fuel. In 2011, city haulers collected 8.3 million gallons of yellow grease from the 17,000 city restaurants. Like, is this not the most ridiculous thing you guys have ever heard? People going around in vans and vacuuming up gallons upon gallons of cooking grease to then turn into actual jet fuel. Like, this sounds like something straight out of a cartoon, and it actually was.
Coming in at number 4, Siegfried and Roy. During the episode Springfield, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love Legalized Gambling, which first aired in 1993, we were first introduced to the flamboyant duo Gunter and Ernst, magical stage performers that have a headline slot at the brand new Monty Burns Casino, which features their onstage companion, a white tiger named Anastasia. At the beginning of the episode, Anastasia has a flashback whilst performing, remembering that she was taken from the wild by the pair after being shot with a tranquilizing dart, and then savagely begins mauling them. Well, the duo were a parody of the famous Siegfried and Roy, Las Vegas stage legends that pretty much did the exact same act. And things again got a little spooky when in 2003, 10 years after the episode in question aired, Roy Horn, one half of the Siegfried and Roy duo, was savagely attacked by their trained white tiger, Montecore, where he was grabbed by his neck and dragged off stage while they were performing at the Mirage, leaving Horn with extensive and life-threatening injuries. I mean, I get it, if you're in the business of frolicking on stage with one of the most ferocious feline predators on the planet, you're probably going to get hurt at some point. But there's no denying that The Simpsons called it before that even happened. Next up at number 3, the Walt Disney takeover.
Hello, old lady from Titanic? You stink!
Now, this is probably the smallest prediction in terms of screen time, but it's staggering that it would have the biggest implications, because in short, The Simpsons predicted its own takeover by Disney nearly 20 years before it actually happened. 20 years, that's insane, right? In an episode that first aired in 1998, comically titled When You Dish Upon a Star, The Simpsons made a brief segue gag joking that 20th Century Fox, the studio that produced them, had been bought out and fallen under the umbrella of Disney. Well, in December 2017, Disney announced the knockout news that it was to acquire the vast majority of 21st Century Fox in a blockbuster deal worth over $52 billion US, getting Fox's TV and film studios, its cable TV networks, and its stake in the Hulu streaming service, along with all the character rights and ownership of its creative property, including The Simpsons. The show literally foretold its own inevitable ownership change. Swinging in at number 2, the Higgs boson particle. Did you catch that? Although only incredibly brief, season 10 of The Simpsons hinted at one of their most uncanny predictions ever. Seriously, there have been books written about this, and the fact that they were pretty much spot on is staggering. Matt Groening is a genius time traveler or an alien or something, because coincidence can't be this coincidental, can it? Well, what if I told you that in 1998, Homer Simpson pretty much predicted the mass of the Higgs boson particle 14 years before CERN did with the Large Hadron Collider? Yeah. During the episode of The Wizard of Evergreen Terrace, Homer has a midlife crisis, stating that he's achieved nothing in his life when comparing it to Thomas Edison, and so he decides to become an inventor. During the episode, he scrawls on a chalkboard his prediction of the particle's mass, 14 years before it was even discovered. And British science writer and author Simon Singh noticed eerily just how close it was and decided to write a book about it called The Simpsons and Their Mathematical Secrets. Well, it turns out that the writers of The Simpsons were pretty much all mathematicians, and head writer at the time, David X. Cohen, took a stab at the theoretical particle. Yeah, he was pretty spot on. But I'm also pretty sure that he's a time traveler. And finally, at our number 1 spot, President Trump.
As you know, we've inherited quite a budget crunch from President Trump. How bad is it, Secretary Van Houten?
We're broke.
The country is broke?
Yeah, nothing to see here really, guys. other than the fact that The Simpsons predicted Trump's presidency 16 years before it actually happened. I don't really know what to say about this one other than it's insanely accurate and has gone on to spawn even more accurate predictions involving The Simpsons version of Trump and our version of Trump. I'm not even sure which one is which anymore. The gag first appeared in an 11th season episode titled Bart to the Future, which is pretty self-explanatory, but it details Bart and Lisa all grown up, and of course, Lisa is the first female president of the United States. Her task is to rebuild the economy after Donald Trump ruined it during his term as president. Let me reiterate the fact that this episode aired in the year 2000, 16 years before the 2016 presidential election. It's got me wondering what the hell was in the water over at the Simpsons headquarters. I get it. It's just coincidence, right? There's nothing more to it. They just got lucky. All of those times, back to back.